Are cheap handlebars from Amazon any good? Let's answer that question. Because I've always been curious, and now I wanted to find out if I was going to die on the road with them or if they were gonna be a wild success and I was going to save a bunch of money and put that in my pocket. So let's answer that. I bought an RXL SL 40 centimeter with a 100 millimeter stem from Amazon for a whopping $115. If you know anything about carbon handlebars, that is wildly cheap. Like even just handlebars, not integrated handlebars, are like $200, $300, $400. Integrated ones are like $600, $700. They're expensive, right? So what does $115 get you from Amazon? Let's find out. So first impressions. When I got this, it came in a box and I opened that box and it was not the best first impression you've ever seen in your life. It didn't scream high quality. It had like a little bit of bubble wrap around the handlebars and like that white foam packing material, whatever that is. So not great. But when I took that off, you know, the bars actually looked pretty good. Now let's keep in mind these were $115, so that bar is pretty low for what I am expecting. But I thought it looked pretty good. The matte finish was good, the logo looked good. There was like one minor paint flaw on there. Again, for $115, it was fine. If I would have bought a $600 pair of handlebars, I would have sent them back and said, hey, send me a new one. Minor flaw. And then in terms of how it felt good in my hands. Like for the most part, it felt like carbon handlebars that I've experienced in the past. It wasn't like, oh, this is the lightest thing in the world. It wasn't like, this is the heaviest thing in the world. Like it was fine. It like passed the test, I would say. For 115, felt good enough. Now the one part that I didn't like is the internal routing. It was kind of in a weird spot and I could really tell that the internal routing was not perfect. It had some like rough edges in there. It wasn't smooth. Didn't look very big either, which was concerning for the build aspect of it. But overall, it was fine. It was kind of what I expected from these handlebars. So first impressions were so-so. Now on to the build aspect of it. And I'm going to get to one major flaw of the build aspect of it. But in terms of build overall, it wasn't too bad. The bolts were a little bit weird that you clamp the stem onto the fork. A little bit weird, but they worked, they were fine. They tightened down just fine. I didn't have to over tighten them. Sometimes with some cheap stuff, you usually have to over tighten them. I didn't have any cracking or anything like that with the carbon when installing things. My shifters went on well, bar tape went on well. Like for the most part, the build went well. But this major flaw like really screwed it up. It comes with internal routing, right? Well, that internal routing sucked. I said it looked small and it was small. Like I fit through a 4 millimeter shifter cable in there and housing. It was tough, but I did it. And then I had to fit through hydraulic hose. I couldn't do it to save my life. Like I tried every single little trick that I knew. And I used to be a mechanic back in the day. Not saying I was the best mechanic and not that I'm the best home mechanic, but I'm a competent mechanic. And I could not get that routed through. Like I said, I tried every single little trick that I could, but I couldn't route it. So I had to externally route that, which is not ideal. Right? When you have internal routing on a flat top bar, externally routing looks gross. So I had to externally route it. It's functional, it works, but that sucks. So build overall, I'm gonna give that like a really low, crappy score because when it comes with internal routing and I can't internal route it to save my life, well, that's gonna get a fail for me. So now let's get on to the ride aspect of it. I've been riding it for like 2 months now and I really wanted to ride it and feel it and test it in different combinations. So I've been putting this on my gravel cyclocross bike. So I've ridden gravel with it, I've ridden pavement with it, and I've raced cyclocross with it. A couple races on cyclocross. If you don't know what cyclocross is, you beat up your bike, right? Like it's grass, mud, dirt, pavement. It's a whole bunch of things and you beat up your bike. So this bar is gonna get put through the paces when it comes to like durability and really pushing on it. And so far, the ride I would say is really good. Like I've been really impressed with how it feels and how it stacks up to some of the more expensive carbon bars I have used in the past. I've used some very high-end carbon bars. I've used alloy bars, and this feels good. Like there's no flex in it. I don't feel any flex. I've sprinted on it. I've done cyclocross with it. I'm not feeling any weird things happening with it. Now I'm 162 pounds, roughly 5'7", so I'm not the biggest person to be putting a bunch of torque through it, but it's felt good for me. It's dampening vibrations. Before I had alloy on this bike, so alloy stem, alloy bars, and I think it definitely feels better than that. Usually with carbon, you get a little bit softer of a ride, and I would say for the most part, it is a softer ride. Fit-wise, I think it feels good. You know, how far the reach is for my hands, that part feels good. Really, the only part that I don't like about the ride aspect of it is the curvature and the drops. I don't like that when my hands are in the drops, my like forearms hit the top of the bars. I really don't like that, and I've only had that issue with Bontrager in the past, Bontrager bars, because that it's so deep, but that's just a personal preference, right? Like you can read online and figure out if it has too much of a bend or not enough of a bend. Somewhat my fault, but it's just not great for the ride quality. But otherwise, everything else on the ride quality feels good. Like I'm impressed with how it feels riding. One other aspect that I don't like about the ride quality, and again, this could be my computer mount, but the computer mount looks terrible. It like is slightly up, so it's not level with my hoods, and it just looks gross. Absolutely has nothing to do with the functionality of it. It just doesn't look as good. Ride quality, pretty much a thumbs up besides those two issues. And again, I'm fine getting over them for $115. So what is my conclusion? Would I say that you should go buy these bars? I can't say yes, and there are a couple reasons for that. One is R&D. I don't know the R&D that these are going through, right? Like, and if you have an issue, who are you gonna talk to? Amazon? Who knows what Amazon is gonna do customer service wise? It's just, there's so many unknowns that if something goes wrong with these bars, who are you gonna contact? Like that's a big reason why you pay money for these big brands, is you have somebody to contact if things go wrong. Plus, I gotta assume it's statistically a greater likelihood that something is gonna go wrong with these bars because I don't know what the quality control is. I don't know what the R&D is on these bars. That usually leads to more things going wrong. My bars have been okay, but I've read reviews that there can be cracking up by the stem where the bar connects to the fork. You know, that would suck because those bars are done. They're done when that happens. I've seen none of that. I've ridden these bars pretty hard and I've seen none of that. You don't know what the quality is gonna be when you're buying these bars. Might have been good, but maybe other people have bad instances of them. Now, the internal routing part, I can't recommend these because of the internal routing as well. It sucked. Like maybe you could fit them through there, but I couldn't. And one of the big advantages to integrated bars is that you can run internal cabling and make it look pretty nice. Internal routing sucked, not good. Can't recommend it for that reason as well. I also don't want to put my name behind them because I don't know what the quality of these are going to be like in 6, 7, 8, 9 months. You know, when you buy a high-end quality carbon bar, it's probably gonna last you 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Like it's gonna last a long time, right? Like you can spend that money, you can make that investment, and it's gonna last you a long time. I have no idea if these are gonna last that long, if they're gonna hold up to the beating that they are gonna take. Now, as long as I don't crash them, they shouldn't break, but I've read reviews that people have had trouble with that stem issue, so it could happen down the road. And I don't want to put my name behind that on YouTube and say that you should go buy them. Now, where do I think that these bars could be a good bet? Indoor bike. You want your indoor bike to look good? Boom, put it on there. Where you maybe can get away with externally routing stuff and who cares about looks necessarily. Again, I don't know why you would care about your looks for an indoor bike, but hey, if you're trying to do a cheap build, you can throw these bars on there and they'll do a job, right? Like they will do a job. If you really are budget friendly and you want that look, go ahead and get these bars for your outdoor bike, but I wouldn't recommend them. Even for $115, I would find alloy bars, alloy stem, used carbon bars, used carbon stem. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't buy these, right? Like I would not recommend buying these. But for the ride feel of them, I would say they work well, right? Like once they're on the bike, even though some things are bad about it, they do ride well. So take that and do with that information what you want. I'm not gonna recommend them, but I've really enjoyed like experimenting with this. Like I've always been curious about what these bars are gonna do. And I also put these on my gravel cyclocross bike because if I fall in a cyclocross race, it's on grass, not 30 miles an hour in a criterium race on pavement if they do fail. So I'm not gonna test these on a road bike. Like that is, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'll test them on this bike. It's been a fun experiment. I don't really wanna test this again because the build sucked. Like it was really frustrating to build with that internal routing issues. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to this video. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you have experimented with cheap bars from Amazon, AliExpress. Like, have you done it before? Would you do it again? I don't know, let me know. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.